Hello and welcome to the 10-Minute Book Talk. I am Rachel Linden and I am joined by Marie Bostwick, my co-hostess. And usually we have Katherine Reay with us, but she is on an epic adventure and won't be with us for a few weeks. And so we today have a special, fun, hilarious treat. We have Bethany Turner with us, and she's talking with us about her new book, The Do-Over. And I actually got to endorse this book, and I absolutely adored it. I laughed out loud while my husband was sleeping beside me in bed, because it is all the things you want in romantic comedy. It is hilarious, it has heart, it has charm, you're in love with the main characters, you're rooting for them. So we are really excited to be able to talk about The Do-Over today and hear a little bit about it behind the scenes from Bethany. So Bethany, can you give us a 1 to 2 minute-ish just synopsis of, tell us what the book is about?
Sure. First of all, thanks so much for having me. I love you guys so much, so I'm excited to be here. But yeah, so The Do-Over is about McKenna Keaton, who is, 38 years old, living her best life as far as she's concerned. Very successful New York City attorney, who is called into the boardroom of her top law firm, fully expecting to be named a senior partner. And instead, she's informed that she's being investigated and put on administrative leave, suspicion of embezzlement of about like $300,000, which is not only a crime she didn't commit, it's a crime she would never commit. Like, it comes totally from left field for her and really shakes her world for the first time in her life. But, she's believing in due process and all these things as a good lawyer should. And so it's just a matter of waiting it out for a few weeks while they find the real error. And so she goes back home to North Carolina, where her family still lives, and she doesn't really feel much attachment to. New York is home. And in the process of that, has the chance to reunite with a former, high school rival / friend. My voice just went, you guys, that was weird. But so forgive my, Katherine Turner voice the rest of the time. But yeah, so reunite with this guy who has now become, he was this total dork in high school, and now he's just like this world-renowned, successful documentarian who also, as she says, also looks like he stumbled out of an Eddie Bauer catalog, and not the kid she remembers from high school at all. But so at her basically lowest point in life, she comes across this guy who is achieving all his dreams and kind of challenging her thinking on her dreams a little bit. So yeah, we get to throw in, it's a family situation very much, as we spend time with her family and actually even look at some genealogy stuff with her family, and McKenna kind of figures out if it's time to reevaluate those dreams.
Love it. Sounds like my kind of book. I've had such a big reading pile. I haven't been able to read your book yet, but now it's going to be on my pile. But I have to, this is really our first time talking face to face, Bethany. And in our emails, I can tell already that you are extremely funny. And if you live next door, we would probably get into all sorts of trouble. So I had a couple of questions from you. I understand, first of all, where does that, because from everything Rachel has just gushed on your book, and she says it's so funny, where did that sense of humor come from in you? Are you the only funny one in your family, or are you the least funny one? What is
and the pop cultural references? It's amazing pop culture. Yeah. Where's it come from?
Yeah, I would honestly say it's all from my family. I'm not, I don't know if I'm the funniest one or not, but I tend to be the most, I just say what I'm thinking. That's what it comes down to. And that's what you get on the pages of my rom-coms is completely just my verbal, just train of thought of all this stuff. The pop culture very, very much was a family thing. I grew up in the 80s, and we used to, it wasn't everybody on their own devices. We sat around and watched movies together and talked about them. And my grandmother had this ridiculous, all these subscriptions to, Star and the National Enquirer and all those things. So I knew all the celebrity gossip from the time I was born, pretty much. And it just it all infiltrated to the point that now, you hear some people say, there's a movie quote for everything. It's like, Oh, that's no exaggeration. And it's not only movies, it's TV. It's like I can pull out a quote from a 1987 episode of Family Ties and it will be perfect for the moment. I always say if I used my brain for good instead of pop culture, I could change the world. But instead, it's all just stocked with pop culture quotes. So it is what it is.
All right, that is hilarious. So I've got to ask, where in the world did Hank Bloom come from? Because you have Henry Blumenthal, who's like nerdiest United Nations, just like such a total high school nerd. And then he transforms into this sexy, thoughtful, fabulous hero that you totally fall for, who stumbled out of an Eddie Bauer catalog. Where did he come from? What was your inspiration?
I really just wanted someone who would rock McKenna's world. I mean, that's honestly where he started being formed, because everything in the story was about nothing was going to be one big dramatic, oh, this is where she falls. It was all these pieces are adding up to put her on shaky ground for the first time in her life, so that she is susceptible to these different thoughts. And so for Henry, that just had to be him not being at all what she remembered or what she expected. And they were friends in high school, even though they were rivals for valedictorian and all these different things. And but she wasn't a person who did friends, really. She's not a friends person. And yet, looking back, like, he was a constant for a long time. And so having this complete stability, and then turning him into this adventurer who has all these scars, and each scar has a beautiful story. And which then, of course, he was going to look like he stepped out of an Eddie Bauer catalog. That more just came from literally, like, how would this guy dress? And I literally, like, I have this board behind me, which maybe you can see. That's my storyboard of whatever I'm working on. And it's always character inspirations and all that. And there was literally an Eddie Bauer guy who was up there because I'm like, that's his outfit. That's how he would dress. And walking through the Highlands, all this stuff. So it was really just about making him not at all what she remembered, not at all what she expected, and yet at the core, the same great guy he'd always been.
That sounds amazing. He sounds amazing. I'm up for this. So tell us, Bethany, what's next for you?
Well, I'm working on a story, which I think I can go ahead and say the title because we're not airing it today. I haven't revealed it yet, but it's actually called Bryn and Sebastian Hate Each Other, a love story. And
I want to read it already.
Yeah.
So obviously it's going to be an enemies to lovers kind of story. It's about the host of a Today Show type show who's, again, kind of living her best life, but then she's responsible for her own downfall when a hot mic tirade kind of puts her in the crosshairs of cancel culture, I guess you could say. And so she has to go about making nice and trying to restore her reputation. And so very much a different sort of a similar situation to McKenna, but also completely different because Bryn is 100% responsible for her world falling apart. Mm-hmm. And that girl's actually going to have to change quite a bit. So I'm excited about that one. It will come out in fall of 23.
Well, okay, we are sitting ready for it. We want to put it in our hands and read it because that sounds amazing and fun. Okay, well, we're excited, and we want to ask you one last question, which we ask everybody, and that is, what's making you happy today?
We talk about the pop culture. I've been obsessed the past couple of days with going back through all the old Billy Crystal Oscar openings, like like when he would introduce and have that, that Oscar song that he would sing with all the different things. And so I've been watching the openings of every Academy Awards of the 80s and 90s, and it has filled me with joy. I can't lie. It's my happy place.
That on my list of what I'm going to do later today.
That might be one of the more original answers to that question we have ever had, more unexpected answers. All right, well.
Come to Washington and come have coffee with us and snort it all out our noses.
Yes, please. Awesome. Let's make that happen.
Can you hold your book up again, Bethany?
Absolutely.
So this is Bethany Turner with the delightful romantic comedy, The Do-Over. Everybody put it on your list. Enjoy it. It's a fabulous summer read and fabulous sort of lighthearted, hilarious, heartwarming read. And it'll have you cheering for Hank and McKenna. All right. Thanks so much. Tune in next week for more 10-minute book talk fun.
Bye, guys.